Are the race-neutral policies praised by Justice Thomas now considered by you to be illegal DEI?
I think you're mixing apples and oranges. Senator, there's a difference between what you see on paper and what you see in reality, and I reject your premise.
I'm not asking you about particular.
I reject your premise that how California describes its
practice.
admissions
I'm asking
practices
you
is
about whether
reality.
you subscribe to the Supreme Court's opinion or whether you disagree with Justice Thomas' concurrence. You can answer that question, can't you?
In the abstract, yes. In reality, what you're describing does not exist in the UC system.
Okay, so
why is Adam Schiff bending over backwards to defend universities that push woke ideology, but attacking anyone who dares to investigate their discriminatory hiring practices? So, Senator Adam Schiff, yes, the same guy who spent years pushing the Russia hoax and lying to the American people, just tried to corner DOJ official Harmeet Dhillon over an investigation into the University of California. This is the Prodigy Unfiltered.
Chairman, Ms. Dhillon, you recently announced that DOJ was launching an investigation into the University of California over its UC 2030 capacity plan, which notes that future growth of faculty and students should result in campus populations that better reflect and tap the talent of underrepresented populations who represent the majority of Californians. In the SFFA versus Harvard opinion, the Supreme Court held that nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise, allowing universities to continue assessing students' experience with race on an individualized basis. In that opinion, in his concurrence, Justice Thomas praised the University of California for achieving diversity through race-neutral policies, including preferences for low-income applicants and first-generation students, and recruiting efforts targeted at areas with substantial populations of people of color. Are the race-neutral policies like those used by University of California, which Justice Thomas explicitly praised in that opinion, now considered by you to be illegal DEI?
Well, Senator, first of all, the investigation that we've opened is an investigation, and it's an investigation into the hiring policies of the University of California system, not the admissions policies. That said, I have absolutely seen abuses in the admissions policies in using race as a crude proxy for discrimination.
That's not the question I asked you. Are the race-neutral policies praised by Justice Thomas now considered by you to be illegal DEI?
I think you're mixing apples and oranges.
Well,
so I can't really answer your question.
You can answer my question and say, yes, they are now illegal. That is what Justice Thomas praised in terms of race-neutral policies, which include preferences for low-income applicants, first-generation students, things like that. Are you now saying that what Justice Thomas praised is now illegal in your view?
Senator, there's a difference between what you see on paper and what you see in reality, and I reject your premise. I reject your premise that how California describes its admissions practices is
about whether
reality.
You subscribe to the Supreme Court's opinion or whether you disagree with Justice Thomas' concurrence. You can answer that question, can't you?
In the abstract, yes. In reality, what you're describing does not exist in the UC system.
Okay, so Justice Thomas got it wrong. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
Well, you are saying that because he was praising the policies of the University of California. You seem to be saying now that any university that gives a preference to low-income applicants is engaged in illegal DEI, or if they put a focus on first-generation students, that's somehow impermissible. After all the years of criticism of cancel culture, you seem to want to cancel any institution that has views that you disagree with. In answer to the questions about law firms, you want to cancel law firms because they take on unpopular clients to you, to the administration. That is, if a firm represents someone with an adverse interest to the administration, which is their First Amendment right to do, and I would also say their duty to do, you would cancel them. You would cancel universities like Harvard or the University of Virginia that take positions and exercise their First Amendment rights contrary to what you think the administration wants to see. You would cancel the Associated Press for not using the ridiculous nomenclature of the Gulf of America. You're canceling now the Wall Street Journal because the Wall Street Journal had the audacity to publish an article about Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein. So this is what's going on in this administration. You've devastated the Civil Rights Division. Hundreds of attorneys, 368, have departed since January of this year. There's been a mass exodus from the Civil Rights Department. It is just a shell of what it used to be. They're being canceled. They're being canceled by you, by the department. Anyone that stands up to this president is at risk of being canceled. And I think what you're doing to use the sledgehammer of federal funding with universities to try to coerce them to accepting your right-wing agenda is disgraceful. And using that cudgel will have far-reaching implications, attacking research done by universities, academic independence done by universities. It will establish a dangerous precedent that can be abused by a president of any party, and we should recognize that on a bipartisan basis, even though it does not appear that we do. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let me tell you, the way Schiff spun this thing, you'd think Justice Thomas personally declared war on college campuses. But that's not what happened. Here's the setup. Schiff keeps bringing up race-neutral policies, things like giving a boost to low-income applicants or first-generation college students. Justice Thomas, in a recent Supreme Court decision, praised the University of California for using those methods instead of race-based affirmative action. So, what does Schiff do? He tries to twist Dhillon's investigation into hiring practices as some kind of assault on Thomas's views and academic diversity. Now here's the truth. Dhillon made it crystal clear that the DOJ's investigation is about hiring policies, not admissions. But Schiff didn't want to hear that because admitting it kills his narrative. So instead, he keeps hammering the same misleading question. Are these race-neutral policies now illegal, DEI? You can tell what's going on here. Schiff doesn't actually want an answer. He wants a soundbite. He wants Dhillon to either contradict Justice Thomas or admit to some imaginary conservative war on poor kids. It's the oldest trick in the Democrat playbook. Load a question so either way you answer, you look bad. And when Dhillon refuses to play his game, Schiff shifts gears and launches into his favorite shtick, accusing conservatives of cancel culture. This is where I almost spit out my coffee. Schiff, Mr. Censorship himself, accusing Trump supporters of trying to cancel people? Give me a break. He starts listing off these wild accusations. Conservatives supposedly want to cancel Harvard and UVA for their political stances. We're canceling the Associated Press because they don't use certain terminology. We're canceling the Wall Street Journal for printing an Epstein story about Trump. No, Adam. What conservatives are doing is holding corrupt institutions accountable when they push propaganda, suppress facts, or act as mouthpieces for the Democrat Party. That's not canceling. That's called fighting back. Let's be clear, Schiff is defending the same academic machine that has been brainwashing our kids for decades. These universities take billions in taxpayer dollars, then turn around and push Marxist ideology, gender ideology, and racial division. And when the DOJ or anyone else dares to investigate whether their hiring practices are discriminatory, suddenly it's an attack on academic freedom. What Schiff really fears is losing control over the narrative. He knows that if conservative leadership starts pulling back federal funding from universities that discriminate based on politics or race, the left loses one of its most powerful indoctrination tools. That's why he's framing it as an attack on free speech. He wants to make sure the left's speech is protected, while conservative speech gets crushed. And this nonsense about the DOJ gutting the Civil Rights Division? Give me a break. Schiff claims 368 attorneys have left since January, like that's proof of wrongdoing. You know what that tells me? That swamp creatures are leaving because they know the gravy train is over. They're not interested in enforcing civil rights fairly. They're mad their left-wing agenda is getting checked. This whole exchange is just another reminder. Democrats like Schiff aren't interested in fairness. They're interested in control. They'll twist court rulings, smear good people, and weaponize the word cancel to protect their allies. Meanwhile, they keep pushing policies that divide us by race, bankrupt our schools, and silence conservative voices. As a patriot, I'm glad we have people willing to stand up to this nonsense. Whether it's in the DOJ, in Congress, or on the Supreme Court, we need leaders who will say, no more taxpayer money for institutions that discriminate. No more hiding behind diversity to push political agendas. And no more letting the left play victim while they trample the rights of everyone who disagrees with them. Folks, 2024 showed us we can't take these people at their word. We have to watch them, challenge them, and expose them every single time. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So if you're tired of Schiff's games and the left's constant gaslighting, share this video, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep fighting for the America our founders envisioned, one where opportunity is based on merit, not political loyalty. This is Prodigy Unfiltered. Like, share, subscribe, and stay in the fight. God bless America.